Okay, I'm so excited for these tips because in particular, my hubby was like the most amazing crush and then boyfriend and then husband to text because he just got all these concepts and it totally sucked me right in. And then two, I had this friend that was just so good at these texting tips that I'm going to share with you that everyone loved text from her. People would say things to me like, we'd be talking about this friend in like a great way, like, oh yeah, she's going to come over later. And they'd be like, yeah, she just sends me the best text. She is just so much fun to text. And I remember taking note of that. And so I'm going to share with you their top secret, like texting secrets for you to use with your crush, because texting at the start of a relationship is such a real part of it. It's such a modern relationship tool. And so we're going to get into the nitty gritties of how to text your crush to keep them hooked. Okay, so to clarify for sure, because there's different rules, different stages of relationships, this is like how to text your crush, right? You aren't a thing just yet. You're figuring out like, do we like each other? Maybe you like each other, but you're not sure how to make it more. These tips are going to help you. So first and foremost, I want you to keep it light and keep it fun. So when you're texting your crush, this is not the time to have super long conversations that last hours of back and forth or super long texts even. This is just the time to like bounce kind of those texts off of each other. This is, just the time to like casually engage them in a conversation that's outside of school, because we're taking those first steps into expanding your relationship beyond school. And I mean, think about it. Any relationship starts with like, you have this fun flirting game at school, you get each other's numbers, and then you start to text each other, then you hang out, right? So we're at that first stage. So like, keep it light, keep it fun, keep it just like really interactive. And also just, I'd keep it really light, like for lack of a better word, like, and I'm going to share with you more tips on how to do this, but this is not the time to like send them paragraph texts. This is not the time to confess all your feelings for them, right? This is just the time to like have fun and kind of pick up their texting style and just like flirt over text. You're basically continuing your awesome conversations at school, but now over the phone. So those conversations where you're flirting are super light and fun and just like, you just like to be with each other. Have that translate over to your texting. And one way to do that is my second tip, which is to mirror their tone, but with flair. So let me talk to you about what I mean by this. So when you are texting lovely Josh over here, and he sends you a text, I want you to mirror and match his tone and like the way that he's texting you. So if he says like, hey, smiley face, you know what? You say like, hey, smiley face back, but with flair, right? So then we add right immediately after it, like, hey, how are you? With like an exclamation mark and like a question mark, because we're showing that we're like really excited that they texted us. Because especially if he was the first one to text you, you want to match their tone, which we did with the like smiley face and the hey, but we also want to show them that like we want to reward them for texting us. I know that's a really weird way to think about it, but you do. And so when he sees that, he's going to go, oh, okay, she's glad I texted her. And then he can also say like, oh, I'm good. How are you? Right? So you've kind of given him something to go off of. Now, if you're the first one to text, which might need to happen, and it's a little bit more of a putting yourself out there, and you send that, you're hoping to get something back from him that reflects his excitement and is in that tone. And so if you're the one sending that first message, you're really going to want to read what he's saying. If he's giving you short answers or periods or anything like that, that might be your cue that like he's not ready to text, or he's really busy right now. And so just be able to read that. But I want to encourage you that especially as he texts you back and puts forth that effort, that you show just like a little bit more excitement, just a little bit more, so that they can't misunderstand that you aren't super excited that they texted you. This is gonna be really important when I talk about my other steps, and you'll see why. Okay, this tip, I could like sing it from the mountaintops because teenagers need this. when you're talking to your crush. You need this when you're talking to your husband. You need this when you're talking to your BFF. But write to be understood. Okay, let me tell you why this is like such a secret sauce weapon for you. A lot of people write what they mean when it comes to texting, right? But we've all experienced it before when somebody texts us. Is that a texted? When somebody sends us a text and they say like, okay, I'm fine. Like certain phrases, maybe it's just the way, how fast it came, how late it came, that you're just like not sure what it means. Are they really okay? Are they not? Are they being passive aggressive? Are they being petty? Like, are they excited you text them? Are they not? And because that can be such a messy part of texting, and I don't want it to be part of your relationship with your crush right now, I want you to write to be understood. And this might feel a little overboard for you, but I just want you to really layer on the exclamation marks, the emojis, the, I just want you to send a text that there is no way, obviously maybe 1% of people will misread it, but like that 99% of people will understand your meaning when you send this text. So this is one that I pulled from a really good friend that I just felt like she was so good at this, because I text her and, maybe I wouldn't hear from her for hours, but then I'd get this text back and it'd be like crazy long, all caps, like, Abby, oh my gosh, I just saw your message and I'm so glad you texted me, smiley face, like, how are you? Like, there was no way I could misinterpret that as like, oh, Abby, how are you? Like, question mark. If that came hours later, it could be like, oh, well, maybe she really doesn't want to talk to me, or do you know what I mean? But if you send a text that already is trying to convey your emotion, which is really fun through emojis, capitalizing the letters not, you just want to text in a way that you can't be misunderstood, because it's already scary enough to text your crush. Let's be sure that we're encouraging them to text us. Let's be sure that they know that we're really excited and happy when they text us. Okay, I used this little secret of texting all the time and it works every time. It's just like this extra little hook. It can feel stressful, I'm not gonna lie, but if you figure it out, it's really helpful. And that is to let them be the last text. Now, how this works is you have to layer on the other tips that I've taught you in this video. So you have to make sure that you're matching their tone with flair. You gotta make sure that it's really communicated that you are like crazy excited that they texted you, you love talking to them, but you let them be the last text. So when the conversation seems to slow, or maybe it's just a spot where you don't necessarily have to respond, or to respond, it would make sense to ask another question, like, oh, what are you doing later today? Or blah, blah, blah. I would encourage you to just leave it at that, because you have communicated super clearly with these other tips that I've shared with you that you're into this guy. So let him be the last text, because that avoids him getting overwhelmed with your text. That avoids him thinking that maybe you're a little bit desperate or like you're a super easy catch. But it also like makes him stop and think, and he's just like, oh my gosh, is she gonna text me back? Like, and he thinks about you all day. And I get that all day might be 10 minutes, but until he texts you back again, don't respond as it makes sense to your conversation. And you'll be shocked how many times, I know it's painful at first and you're just like, I'm gonna die because I want to text him so badly. But if you follow these other tips, this one is just the last little hook, because you will notice that he'll either text you a question to keep the conversation going, or he'll be the first one to text you next time, because he is feeling this like, oh, I want her to text me back. You've kind of left this little bit of a hook. I remember using this with, it was an ex-boyfriend at the time, and all of a sudden he decided he wanted me back, right? And so he was texting me, and it just got to kind of a slow in the conversation. I was like, oh, he's just texting me to text me. So I didn't text him back. Like 30 minutes later, he texts me. He's like, hey, do you want to go to this party with me? I'll pick you up. I'd really like it if you'd come with me. And I was just like, whoa. Like, he was feeling that hook and that pressure that I was just like, not going to text you back right now. So I know it seems a little harsh, but honey, this one is your magic hook. Okay, this one is so important, especially when it comes to texting your crush really early in your relationship. But at first, you need to have purpose to your texting. So until you've established that you guys like to text each other, or that you pretty much text each other every day, you need to have purpose to your texting. And so I remember with the guys that, I really liked that turned into relationships that started out with texting, I would text them because like I'd ask them to a dance. And so I'd text them and just be like, hey, like I'm thinking about going like with a blue dress. Do you have a blue tie, or anything in these kind of windows will work, right? Because that's not only helpful and informative, but it also gives me an excuse to text him, right? And then as I use these other tips, I can match his tone. I can see if he's interested in texting me back, because it's really easy to go from like, hey, I'm thinking about wearing a blue dress. Like, do you have a blue tie? I don't want to put you out or make you go buy something new. He can text back and say like, oh, I totally do. Or, you know what? I'm not sure if I do. Send me a picture of the dress color. And then you send that back. And then, that's when he can be like, oh, hey, well, let's go tie shopping. Or, nope, that one looks, perfect. And then you don't text him back. And then he can text back and be like, so excited to go to the dance with you, right? So if you have purpose to your texting, it helps you just get over that little bit of fear of texting your crush, but it also gives structure to your conversations, which are really helpful when you just are texting your crush, because you're trying to read them. You're trying to decide if they like texting you back, right? And you just don't want to be that overwhelming girl that couldn't pick up the signs that they didn't. Okay, babe, there you have it. Those are some of my top tips on how to text your crush. I hope that this helped you out. I hope that some of my screen grabs helped you out, because I feel like until you see it, you just don't get it. And I know that you're like, well, maybe emojis aren't my thing, or maybe this isn't my thing. I just dare you to try it out, because I'm not joking when I had these two individuals that I have specifically in mind as good texters. People would tell me randomly, they'd be like, oh, I just love getting texts from them. They're so good at texting. And I want to share that with you, because I feel like we can tweak our own personality and style to fit tips that work with people, that work when it comes to texting. So I hope that this helps you out. Best of luck texting your crush. It's such a fun and also kind of stressful journey. So you got this, babe. Leave a comment down below if one of these tips was just like an aha moment for you, because I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to answer your questions about texting your crush if you'll leave them down below. So please subscribe if you are a teen that is looking to master high school and create the life of your dreams. And I cannot wait to see you in my next video. So Abbi J out.